Art isn't always in what you make. It's sometimes in what you find and what you do with it. This branch on a valley oak has got so much character to it. I actually had to save it from shattering when I was up in a tree last week. It was totally dead and it had to go. But I roped it down because I didn't want it to break, and I spent the last hour peeling the bark off of it. I have no idea what it's going to turn into, but it has so much character that I think it's going to be some kind of art piece. Maybe a lamp base. I'm not quite sure. I mean, does kind of stand up kind of interestingly. I don't know. If you look at the wood as something more than just firewood, sometimes you find things in the wood that is truly remarkable. I don't know if you can see that in here, but do you see those reflective ray patterns inside this piece of wood here? That is called fiddleback. Fiddleback is a figure characteristic in wood that increases the value incredibly. I mean, it really, a $2 a board foot piece of wood can go up to $15 or $20 a board foot if it's got high figure in it. So I had these couple pieces of, this is crepe myrtle, and I threw them on the firewood pile and they split and they cracked, and I noticed that. And I've never worked with crepe myrtle. I don't know what it's like. It's a really hard wood. I think it'll probably finish up a bit like maple. So I'm going to resaw this piece and see what I can get out of it. I might get some wood for a jewelry box or something really small, but just the fact that I have a piece of crepe myrtle wood, which is unheard of, nobody uses crepe myrtle, it's too small. This is a really old tree and it's only 6 inches or so in diameter. Sometimes if you cut down a tree, you'll find a piece that's looks like it goes to the firewood pile until you spend a little bit of time on it. This piece of walnut here, I haven't even touched it, I just sliced it with a chainsaw. I think I did do a little bit of sanding. But once this is done, this is going to turn into something magnificent. Even the defects, even the problems, you can do a little bit of filling. You can put some epoxy in there. There's a crack right here. I can put like a little butterfly joint right here to hold that together, keep it from getting worse. And that can be a really beautiful little end table if I find the right stand for it. So, wood. It's not just firewood. It's not just construction wood. Sometimes it is something that you have to see the inner beauty. And I've got another jewelry box in the making here. I'm using some of the white wood in this walnut on the inside and the outside. This is going to be a Christmas present for one of my daughters. This will be Shelby's jewelry box. That's all from a tree that I cut down. Okay, here you can see the fiddleback in this area where it's split. And here's where I cut it flat. I got to get this whole thing down flat. And then the fiddleback actually goes away before it comes back. When you're trying to reveal the hidden beauty in a piece of wood, you really have to pay attention. Go through all the different grits. You start out rough, you smooth it out, go through all the different grits. I'm up to 220. I'm switching to, what am I, 320 now. I'll probably go even beyond. But what I'm doing is I'm sanding this piece of wood on one edge to find out if it's worth the effort. So far, I think it is. Okay, I'm finished sanding this one little piece. Let me back up a little bit. Why am I sanding this piece? Well, I really want to see if it's worth the effort. I've never worked crepe myrtle before. This has got some special character. So I went through, started at 60, went to 80, 100, 120, 180, 220, 320. Then I switched over to the micro mesh, and that started at 1200 and went all the way to 12,000. Now, a lot of people will say, that's ridiculous. Why would you want to go that far? Well, to really see the beauty in a piece of wood, you have to go as far as you possibly can, unless, of course, it's a ring porous wood. Some woods like ash and some types of oaks, as you start sanding it, walnut is that way. All of a sudden, the pores start opening up, and you actually have to fill the pores in order to get a really gloss piano type finish. But other woods like maple, and in this case, crepe myrtle. Well, are you ready for the reveal? This is the edge. That's what told me that we've got some figure in there. So I cut it on the bandsaw, kind of lost it. And here is the finish. There's nothing on it. It's just sanded. I really need to turn the light on it so you can see the refractive quality on this, but this is going to be just extraordinary. I mean, it's going to look three-dimensional. It's going to be so beautiful. There aren't any open pores in here. It's a very, very solid, very dense wood, and I think it's going to turn into something magnificent. I'm thinking jewelry box. Now, the figure on this, the fiddleback figure, doesn't go all the way through. It stops in the middle. You can see this portion of the wood doesn't have any figure on it at all. So the optimum pieces I'm going to get in resawing is really only going to be a couple of inches or so. So whatever I do with it is going to be a fairly small project. Piece of firewood. Well, it was. I saved it from the firewood pile, and we will see what the next step is going to bring. Let's have a look at it in the sun. Wow! That is amazing. Okay. All right, here's a really interesting close-up view. Do you see this little tiny squiggle line right here? That was from the 60 or 80 grit on the orbital sander, and I didn't sand it out. It revealed itself when I pulled it all the way up. In order to get that out, I've got to start all over. I got to go all the way back to 60 and sand it down so that disappears, and then go incrementally. You can't skip different grits. You have to start with the coarsest and work yourself all the way up to the finest. I mean, from a distance, you'll never see that. But I see it, and I see another one over there. You have to look at it just in the right light. So that's why it's so important to start out with the rough grit, get it all the way down, and look at it really close. Honestly, this is less than 15 minutes effort, and this is all about the reveal, so I didn't want to put too much effort into it. But it told me that I've got a valuable piece of wood here that most people would have thrown in the fireplace.